Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome to Living Truthfully, the podcast 2023, and the first episode in sijui how long, maybe a year. I'm so glad, and you guys have worked me pressure. You're like, Yani, Amani, where's the podcast? What are you doing about it? I'm sorry, guys. I needed also to, find some me time and figure some of these things out. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be doing the podcast, and I'm glad that you're there, you're listening. And what a beginning of the year it's been. With me today, I'm starting with a bang. I'm going straight into the deep end. There's no preamble. I'm just gonna share what's like this podcast has always been. I'm gonna share what's really truly in my heart, and I hope it resonates with some of you. With me today, I have a gentleman who's a good friend of mine. He's an old friend of mine. He's old, and he's my friend. And his name is Mwai Githinji. Mwai is a director at African Children's Choir. Mwai is also an adventurous guy. When we're in a room, he's always the guy with the loudest laughter. Him and I are in a group of dads that is mentoring our children actively, our sons actively. We call it Jabab. Him, I, and another like 10 dads. But he's also in the same business that I do. He's a team builder as well. All-round good guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mwai Githinji. Makofi tafadhali.
Thank you very much, Amani. Really appreciate to be part of this podcast today, and what an honor. It's. I didn't know you've been off for about a year, but I'm glad that we can be able to do this, and we're all set. Let's do it.
I'm very grateful that my first episode is with you because I like talking to my friends.
Yes, for sure. You know what? You're my good old friend. I'm the good one. You're the old one.
you know this. I can record this call right now, video, and then what waone uze. But I'll take it. I'm grateful to have some wisdom, and not as much as yours, but age has taught me a few things.
You bet.
Bro, thank you so much for doing this. I called you about a week ago.
Yes, you did.
And I called you because I was going through a very strange set of emotions, and I didn't know how to process them. And I called you because you'd gone through this. So I'll go straight to it, and I'll tell guys what's going on. So about 2 weeks ago, I lost my HouseHelp. Her name was I'll not say her name, but when I moved to Diani, she was the first person she actually cleaned my house before I came. I'd never met her, but an uncle of mine had sort of asked her to do it for me, and then she helped me settle down. And over 2 years, almost 2 years now, we've developed a sort of relationship that I think is very unique, and to be honest, I think unique in a sense that guys usually have a fantastic relationship with the people that help them in the house. First single guys, but also generally, I think
very
people don't like to say it. I don't think it's a popular opinion, but even if you're married, as men, we live in that same house, and these people usually would take care of us. And mine passed away 2 weeks ago in a road accident, a tragic road accident.
Wow.
And I found myself in grief, in a lot of grief, mourning. Like I felt like I'd lost such a close friend of mine. And I couldn't understand how much this was affecting me and why it was affecting me this much, because she's not a family member, but she might as well have been. And so I called you because you shared with us in that group of dads that I talked about earlier that your family also lost someone who used to work in your family and helped your family. Tell us a bit of that story.
Very, very true, Amani. It's sad to hear what happened to your help, and Paul Asana, hope you're able to grieve and heal from the same. It actually happened to my wife and I and our two boys back February 14th, Valentine's Day, the year 2022. I remember it was a kawa morning. Of course, you know how you wake up. You've ordered the flowers for wife and everything, just looking ready, getting ready for a good day and hanging out later on in the day. I remember the boys were actually on midterm that weekend, so they weren't going to school that day. And we woke up as usual, and of course, Help starts her jobo in the morning. We'd been with her for 8 years, so her routine was she was able to run her own thing. You know, you've been with somebody for 8 years, it's kind of just set out. So she knew what to do, and we just sit back and she would do her thing, and there was no follow-up or anything. So on that very particular day, what I remember so well is because that Saturday, prior to the Monday, we'd gone over to Konza. My dad is putting up a building, so we'd gone for groundbreaking or something, and we'd carried some nyamchom with us. So you know how it is, Sunday you're out, and then Monday I was aiming for that nyama because we were to have it for lunch. So I remember my eldest boy, who was 13 then, was going to the friends over for some school project. So I dropped him in Parklands, and then I happened to call our help because I wanted to make some ugali so we could eat together with the nyamchom.
Mm-hmm.
So at home, our second born, who was 11 then, being on holiday, of course, you know how they stay up late and they wake up much later in the day. It must have gone 11.
Yeah.
But I remember saying hi to our help in the morning at about maybe 7. She was doing laundry and getting her thing going. But I saw her, we chatted. And even Sunday, when she had come from her off day, she was okay. She came, normally it's her off day, so we saw her in the evening. She's like, Limia dance, hi, everything. How was the day? You know, the normal routine. But fast forward to morning, I see her and I go about my shugulis. I remember I was working from home because I just moved offices. So I was still waiting for a new place to be put together. So we were all home, my wife as well, because she was working from home, myself, and the boys because they were on midterm. So anyway, so I called home, and the first person I called is her, and she didn't answer. So automatically I call my wife, but again, even her, she was on a phone call for Jobo, so she didn't answer. So I decided, let me call my youngest boy, because I dropped the bigger boy in Parklands. So I called my younger boy and I'm like, hey dude, please tell Help to wekelea that ugali, because Maza wants us to cool out that nyamchom that we came with on Sato. And he's like, cool, I'll do that. So see you guys in a bit. I'm on my way back. I remember I was driving from Parklands. By the time I was calling him, I was already at Kile, that car bypass that brings you back route to Yaya. So I cut off and I continued doing my thing as I dashed, because I had a phone call at about 1:30. When I'm making this phone call, Amani, it's about 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm driving home knowing that things are underway, and I'll get home to some freshly, neatly done ugali. So kidogo, I see a phone call from my wife, and my wife is saying, I've gone into the room, I've called Help, but she's lying on the bed and she's not answering, and she's kidogo cold. You guy, Maze, I thank God that I still kept onto the wheel, because that threw me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, that cold part is what really caught me. I'm like, Allah, what has happened, you know? So I thought up straight, but at that very moment, I just told my wife to call her sis and mom, because they're not too far. And then I started racking my head what to do. So I called a very good doctor friend of mine. And I was like, hey, you know what? Where are you at? And she was like, I'm out of town. I'm in Kurugoya. What did you need? I'm here for a government function until Gioni. I'm like, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4 has happened. And this is the situation. She was like, what? Where are you? I said, I'm not too far from. Yeah, because I'm still driving. And she was like, you know what? Maybe just go to Kilimani Cop Station, and let's see how we can pick it up from there. So I call wife and I'm like, you know what, let me not come home because I won't help much. Let me just go to Kilimani Cop Station and see how we pick this up. So I drive straight to Kilimani. Where at least we know the OCPD. So I call him. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm out, but my number 2 is there. Just go talk to him. So I get there and I'm telling the guy what has happened, and the guy is asking me questions. Then something hit me. What about calling an ambulance? So I actually looked on the board at the cop station and I saw a couple of numbers, and that's when I called for an ambulance. And those guys were like, no, we're at the roundabout of Kenyatta. As I was talking to them, those guys were moving. Those guys were home in like 7 minutes, because we don't live too far from Ngong Road. So they come in and they're like, what shall we try? Check on her. and then we'll call you back. Meanwhile, I'm there. The cops are like, you know what? Whatever you can do, make sure that he's taken to Hosi. But as you know, with the medics, especially the guys on the ambulance, they cannot take anybody out of the home until they find a pulse in her situation. Yeah. So those guys were here for like maybe 40, 45 minutes. That's when they called me back and they were like, dude, I'm sorry, but we lost her. You guy, yani, like a cold that went down my spine, I just don't know. Because I was like, what? You know, just that whole scenario of not only has she passed on and why did she have to pass on? She was okay. She wasn't sick. Again, it's at home, the kids, and there's so many thoughts went through my mind. And then again, you know, automatically it becomes a police case.
Yeah.
Because she's passed on at home. So now everything turned and the cops are like, wow, pole sana, but from now this becomes a police case. We have to wait for the cops in charge of crime scene to come home. So I was in there at about 1:30. I was getting home at about 3. By the time those cops came and we did everything, recorded the statements. But anyway, finally we were able to come to the digs. By this time, at least, remember my one big, our firstborn I dropped him in Parkland, so he wasn't home. And then secondborn, when my wife's sis came, was able to whisk him away just to get him from home and get, cause of what he had seen. And, we didn't want him to hang around then. Yeah. So we came back and we started the whole process. But I won't cheat you, money. That was major. You know, we'd been with her for 8 years. So not only am I saying she was family, you know. For our second born, that's the only help that he can remember ever since he was at OE. Yeah. So when you're talking about feeling the grief, feeling the loss, you know, just bearing that news and, it was hard. Even by the time we were calling the family members just to let them know, everybody was like, but we saw yesterday and she was okay, you know. Yeah. So I know what you're saying. So that was the scenario at my end and it wasn't the same. And again, now, you know, it just turned from just being you dashing home to go and come and did some Mugali to now whole thing. Police, the whole neighborhood was in shock. Was one, an ambulance came. The second thing, there are cop cars coming. There's a cop truck coming. You know, it was crazy. But we still feel it today. It's not even a year yet because it's going to be a year coming, Feb 14th, you know, this year. But I understand and fully, you know, feel it with you when you say what you feel about losing your help.
Thank you for sharing that story, Mwai, and I'm so sorry for what happened to you and your family.
Yes.
Tell me, I know you've sort of talked about how she was a family member for you guys. She'd been with you guys for 8 years. Did you feel the loss?
Oh, yes, definitely. Because, you know, this is somebody you've been with. And then the setup of our house is in a way where she had her room in the house because it's a 3-bed house. And then we have an SQ. But because of online schooling and everything, we changed the SQ into an office classroom. Yeah. So we were with her there. This is somebody that you've woken up every other day of the 8 years, seeing it, talking to every morning, crossing each other's path in the house. So she was family, definitely. We'd gotten to know about her mom, her family. She had a son and 2 daughters in high school. You knew her. So the fact that you are like, oops, she is not with us, so we won't see her again, you know, it's like losing a member of your family. So definitely, yes, we did. Really, really felt it.
You know, what was strange for me was feeling the sadness that I was feeling.
That's true.
I found it strange. Okay, yes, you've lost someone, but we don't typically acknowledge our attachment to the people who work for us, you know. I think the only time I see, and usually it's in a joking manner, is what they call the transfer window in December. when the house helps go to, you know, on holiday, to Shags, and then you don't know if they're gonna come back. That's when you know there's some attachment to the housey. Mine was actually a temp. She didn't live with me, you know. She didn't live in my house. She didn't come every day. She came twice a week, you know. But sometimes I'd leave her to take care of my dog when I travel. She had full access to my house. in some ways, she was the keeper of my secrets. And dude,
very true.
I felt the loss so deeply.
Because even for us, that was the same thing, because you see, she'd been there with our kids ever since they were young, and now they're all grown up. I remember about 4 years ago, too, our youngest decided that we needed to get a dog, a pet dog. And I'm telling you, our help and that dog bonded. You'd have thought she's the one who asked for that dog and like our second born,
Wow.
So she was there. She would make sure, man, I'm telling you, she was so good with it. At times, if you came home and you were not in and found the dog's food cooling on the cooker, you'd have served that food. It was that well done.
Wow. Wow.
And I know at times we've taken trips with my wife and we've gone. The time actually went for a whole almost 7-8 days out of the country, and we left her with the toys and everything was okay. So this is somebody that you're even entrusting your own children with. So the bond was there. You can't deny, So definitely, then again, that particular day carried its own sorrows, but remember that we picked up from there, because now we had to go all the way up country, meet with the family, explain to them what has happened, again, go another day for the preparations, and again, go yet another time for the actual funeral. And it was just a whole, like almost 8 days in there where you carried the heaviness of heart and the burden of the loss. And, for sure it was not easy, and still is until, even right now, just thinking through and reminiscing between today and that time, it still brings that flash of, she's gone, and it's not easy.
What's crazy is that, my housey has, her footprints are everywhere in this house. In how she arranged the kitchen, in how she arranged the bedrooms, the living room. She's the one who knew where everything was. I'd call her to find out, if something moved from where I expected it to be. She'd be the person I call. And so it's, and why I'm saying this, it's not because of the work, but because you actually feel the presence of the person in your house based on the work that she did. So my question for you is, how have you and the family sort of worked towards healing from this?
Of course, it wasn't easy because one, we had a mention of her name like every other day. Even now, her room used to be called by her name because she'd been there all this time. Yeah. So what we did is, thank God that my wife is an interior designer, and we were able just to remove everything from the room and got rid of the bed and stuff in there. And then we actually even had to paint the whole entire house just to give it a new feel and look, especially because of the young guy who had seen her there in that state. So just to try and turn around things. And then even for us, by the time, because again, we still have the young men with us, and there's a way you still need somebody to be around just to help. Yeah. It wasn't easy getting somebody, and at times we're like, she's not doing it like so and so. Even this one is not like so and so. So it wasn't easy, but we thank God that He's given us. There was enough time for us to heal and try to move on. Luckily, we got a very good day bag, so we decided that even now that the boys are a bit older, we want them to start taking more responsibility. So we agreed with wife that we'll settle more for a day bag. And just trying to cut down even that other attachment, because the other one was way, way too much. He was there with us every single minute, second, hour of the day. So it's helped healing. Of course, we still have a few flashes at times. And then again, the funny thing, Amani, is the day bag we got was sharing the same name with the other one who departed. Oh, no. So
it doesn't make it any easier.
Didn't make it any easy, but we've healed over the last several months, which is about 10 months now. No, about 11 months now. And, just to a place where we still are in touch with the family. We actually picked up helping the firstborn son who's doing medicine out in university in Western Kenya. So the bond is still there. So we were like, let us help this young guy to be able to stand on his feet. And then in return, he can help the other two girls and the entire family once he lands a good job.
Wow, and I commend you for that. Thank you for sharing that. But let me just warn you: if the person you've taken on as a day bag is a good person, don't think the attachment will be any less.
No, right now, actually, can I tell you one thing? We're at a place where actually the one who came to help came in recommended by one of our friends, and she did a good job. And then now she got pregnant and had to leave. So she brought us another one. Of course, I can tell you when the one that has come in, there's already attachment. Because, she's taking her job seriously. She's thorough. She's not in a rush. Until we're like, whoa, okay, here we are. So definitely, there's also another attachment actually coming up. Like now, I know wife has had to share her with her sister whenever maybe they didn't have a help or anything. She's already getting into that space again.
Into the family.
Where to be family.
you know why I thought it was important to have this conversation?
Yes.
First, of course, because the grief and the loss is real, because I've experienced it. And I wanted to be able to share this from a dude's perspective.
That's true.
But, the other thing I wanted to do is to humanize the people that work for us.
That's true.
When the words that we use to describe house helps, like mbot, they don't really give the human value.
That's true.
Of the person that is working with us,
That's true.
But to be honest, these people, they really do make our lives better. They really do affect our lives positively. They make our lives easier. They're human. They have the same needs we have, the same aspirations we have. And for me, this has become even much more of a reality now.
That she's departed. And
I hope I've treated the people who worked for me well. I don't think I have I have extremely bad stories shared about me. I hope so. And if I did not treat you well, please forgive me, call me, we shall make amends. But
you bet.
But I think it's important for us to humanize these people and say, your housey maze is a grounding factor.
By the way, let me tell you, Amani, what I understood one time is I remember we were taking a parenting class with my wife some years back, and you'll realize that as we have career people, we have people working in corporate, we have people doing business, we have people who are all over the place. The people who are spending most time with your children is your house help.
Yep.
So the way you treat them, the way you interact with them really matters, because you're home with your kids, okay, early in the morning, maybe for about 2 hours, by the time they're waking up and you're dropping them in school. And then the whole entire day you're gone. You're reporting back to home in the evening, you're with those kids for another maybe 3-4 hours, and then they go to bed. But your house has been with those kids almost 8 hours a day.
Yep.
So definitely they're humans, definitely they play a very major role in our families and in the upbringing of our kids, and just being there to make sure that your everything is done, it's done well, the ironing, be it the house cleaning, whatever it is, and that as you said, then we need to appreciate them. We need to remember that they're human beings. They need to be part of our lives,
and treat them as family,
and treat them well,
and treat them as family, bro.
Yes.
I don't even think there's more we can say about this story. But I want to say,
but I think something it's something that we took time to just think through and just said, what, we really want to appreciate anybody who comes. And it's the same thing even with the other guy, maybe our gardener or the guy who's out there at the gate who's keeping watch. Just these people who are out there helping you. There's they may not be more vocal about it, but they are part of our lives every other day of our lives.
Very right, and thank you for highlighting that, because over here there's a naka mzee an old mzee who takes care of our gate. Oh, he's not that old, but he's the most pleasant guy. Our night guard is the most pleasant guy.
Yes.
Today, as I came in the evening, we have the new moon today. You can see the crescent of the new moon outside, and he's Muslim. So I've always seen that crescent as a symbol of Islam, and I talked to him about it, and he was telling because he's a Muslim as well, and we were discussing its symbolism and things, and he was so gracious in explaining it to me. Which is very true of his personality. And to be honest, I'd hate to lose that guy, because he makes my evenings great every time I'm coming home. He's hilarious, he's courteous, you're right, they're human, and we need to treat them with that sense and level of humanity.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. And even as guys, we have a day guard. It's only that we had, because in our court, we have two houses that are offices. So some guys came in and like, no, we need to change everything around and get rid of these guys and bring a company. But I was like, you know what? It's true you want to do that. But don't forget, it's me who brought this young boy. And I brought him here about 8 years ago. That guy today has been in an integral part of my family because he used to play with the kids when they were young. Yeah. Right now, when us guys have to travel, we don't have to think of even taking our dog to those kennel places where you have to go leave your dog for like a week or so. This guy says, no, I'll be there. I'll take care of the dogs. He's left with the food. He takes care of the food. He tends, his family. And you can't, they can't go without you planning and doing and mentioning his name. Even when we're not around and the toys are alone, like now, because we are doing day bag, it's at times I'm like, you know what? Let me send you to Quickmart, go pick something for me or from whichever store it is, do something. So they are part of our lives. We can't do without them. So I think just appreciating them and just knowing that they're part of our lives and our family, that is what we can do. That's the least we can do for them,
Your first act of kindness this year was to validate my emotions. Thank you.
You bet.
Your second kind of act of kindness was to accept to have this conversation with me. You're most welcome. You know what? It really hit me because the other day too, my cousin's very good friend, their health was not feeling well on a Sunday evening. They told her to go Lala. The morning they woke up, you know how it is when you're preparing your kids to go to school and everything. Yeah. And she was feeling it. She's like, okay, you just wait there. We're gonna take you to hospital on our way to taking the kids to school. And they took her to hospital, and unfortunately, she didn't make it. By the time they're taking her from third floor to fourth floor, she's gonna go get some X-rays and everything. They lost her. And the first person they said is the boy we call Mwai, because Mwai seems to have had the same thing. So it's unfortunate.
I'm glad. I'm glad to share that. And I just told them, you know what, it's not your fault, and cops will come in, they'll do whatever they have to do. Just share it as it is, and just remember that person had a family and they were able. Thank God for us, at least our help was not far. She was just from Machakos. This one's their help was from Kitale, and you should have seen what they did for their family. And they went and they were there with them, and it just turned out to be a celebration. So It's true, like you're saying, these people are part of our lives, and all we can do is appreciate them and let them know that they are part of our lives and we appreciate them.
Dude, my work is done here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amadi. Thank you for what you do in highlighting these stories and putting them in a podcast. We appreciate it, big time. But, we couldn't have been where we are today. And with things going online like this, and pray that it can go across to so many other people, and that people may just know where we come from and where we stand. And, it's those small things in life that matter. Life is not all about wealth and money and whatever you have. It's that which you do for these guys, making them a part of your life and just appreciating them.
That's true. Thank you, bro, and thank you for being such a cool uncle to my kids. I look forward to seeing you in the next Jabba next month.
You bet, Wana. We've missed you, and thank you. It was great seeing you in Diani whenever we were there last, and we'll plan to visit again. But thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate, and let's keep this burning up in 2023.
All right, thanks, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Mwai Githinji, and I know this was a difficult conversation to start at the beginning of the year, but it is what it is, and this podcast is what it is. It's authentic. We talk about what's happening now, real time, and we're real.
You bet.
Thank you, Mwai. Thank you guys for listening. God bless you. Have a happy 2023. I pray that all your dreams, all your desires, despite what is being projected for this year, that will come to pass. I pray that you're productive, and I can't wait to see what this year brings for you, for me,
you bet,
and for all that do this podcast. God bless. Kwaheri.